This is episode 359 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Will. Happiness is a choice, Hegwood. And tonight, I'm joined by Ryan. I guess I'm going to Gen Con? Stan Zuski.
Yeah, I decided this weekend, I had no plans to go to Gen Con, and then I had plans to go to Gen Con when I was able to get tickets. So I guess I'm going to Gen Con now.
All right. We also have James Light and Breezy Ritter.
Trying to keep it light and breezy in here.
All right. And we have our guest, Greg Game Master Cash.
That's right, I am master of game, especially with the ladies.
Ooh, all right. Throwing it out there. Well,
yes,
you want to talk
for all the ladies.
If you're a single lady in the in the Buffalo area, this is your guy.
Yeah, all five of you.
You know who's our guys? That's our Patreons, of course. Our largest group of supporters. It's what gets everything, or keeps everything moving around here. Without their financial assistance, Gold Squadron would unfortunately perish. There's a lot of work and money that goes into our projects, and especially traveling to events. We got Nova on the calendar already locked in, but we're hoping to schedule some more grand tournaments this year. But we can't go there without support of our Patreons, so definitely check out patreon.com/Gold Squadron. Speaking of grand tournaments, before we get too far into Greg, we got a headline that we gotta take a look at here. James, you wanna talk to us about the Salt Lake Open?
Yeah, Salt Lake Open happening August 2 through 4, which is real. I think it's August 3 through 4 because I think it's that Saturday and Sunday. Details are still coming out, but we have pretty much everything wrapped up. We are just waiting back to hear from AMG to confirm that it's a GT, but we are on track to having that approved. Like we're right with everyone else with waiting, and we've rectified anything that they had, if they had any issues or questions, and just waiting to hear back on the confirmation. So once we hear that confirmation, the GSP team will be able to jump into action, and we're already coordinating with the event organizers and the TO, and they already have room for us, and they already have they're wanting to have us come stream. So hopefully we'll be able to make it out to the Salt Lake Open this year and be able to stream that event.
So just to clarify then, being that Salt Lake Open is on August 2nd through the 4th, that means if GSP goes to Salt Lake Open, then that means unless we do pull double duty, GSP will not be streaming at Gen Con, assuming there was, because I know we couldn't stream Gen Con last year. I didn't know if there was any...
We had no plans.
We're going to assume that was a continuing precedent for Gen
Got it.
Con. That was our assumption until further notice.
Yeah. We have not been reached out to, and our probing questions have not been coming back fruitful. So...
well, there will be gaming ideally in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, if you're not on the East Coast, where's Gen Con at? Is it in
Indianapolis?
We call
in
it
Indianapolis,
the Midwest, but it's pretty far east as far as.
It's a terrible city that's always under construction, but Gen Con's awesome.
So yeah, if you're not trying to travel that far, or I know generally Gen Con is a little expensive from what I hear.
It is.
It
is. You're not wrong.
I was reminded. A 4-day badge, if I wanted the badge shipped to my house, after the initial price of $143 for a 4-day badge, and then $15 for it to be shipped to me, and then about $15 for admission tax, I was at $172 just to get to Gen Con for 4 days. No
Whoa.
event.
Yeah.
That's why I'm including the event.
Whoa.
I think like the
that's just
Adepticon
walking.
pass is like $15 total.
Yeah, I think
Well,
this
they're
one
going
is
to a new
20.
location though. No question
Yeah.
about that. But it looks like this. Can you confirm, James? This $40 here is
that
for
would
just
be
the
true.
X-wing event, or was that get you in the door as well?
That gets you in the door as well. That I will need to confirm that, but I am pretty sure the SLO doesn't charge the entry fee. But I will
You
definitely
pay for events.
You pay
not,
for events.
Not a cover charge.
Yeah.
Well, that's a fantastic way of getting people in.
That is a good question.
Trying out new events and stuff. Do you know the history of the Salt Lake Open? Is this a reoccurring convention?
Yes, it is, but Star Wars gaming, tabletop gaming has not been historically a big part of it. So
okay.
I know that they are trying to get it more in there because traditionally it's more of a Warhammer bolt action type of event.
They're everywhere.
So they are trying to expand into the Star Wars IP.
Cool.
Interesting. I mean, I like the sounds of that. I certainly do. More gaming, always good.
Oh, a city I've never been to.
Yeah.
I went to it. I drove through it. Only in carpool.
You stayed for like one night, right? Or like half a night.
I ate a sushi.
You did eat a sushi. Yep.
What is that drive like, Will? I feel like that's quite a trek.
What? No, I flew in and out of Salt Lake.
Oh, okay.
I did not drive to Salt Lake. My driving stops at like Colorado. unless I'm gonna live where I'm going, then we could extend that down border. But my round trip on car drives is like Colorado and like Ohio, I guess maybe on the other side. I don't drive east. I stop in Indiana.
He flew down, and then we drove together to LVO last year.
Yep.
Or I guess this year.
Yeah. That was this year, but it was the last one that happened. So whatever that means to you. But yeah, very exciting. It looks like the tickets are already on sale.
Yeah, on
but
sale.
their information packet is not updated yet, which makes sense. They don't know if it's a grand tournament or not. So though we're like waiting on the announcements.
They said May 15, and then I think they pushed it back to like May 20th, which is today. So still didn't hear anything.
Wasn't the 15th just when the selections were gonna start? But they weren't. I don't know if they said for sure they would make it public.
Their original article said they were gonna publish it May 15th.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then I think I'm not in the Discord, but I watched a YouTube video of a guy saying that in the Discord they said that there were so many things they're pushing it back to the 20th.
So many applicants. Well, that's a good thing. A lot of people.
Yeah, that's great.
So, still no word back from that yet.
Yeah, I applied as well, but they didn't ask me any questions, so I think you probably got a leg up if they're like inquiring.
Yeah, fair enough. Like, where's your event? When could it be?
Yeah,
things like that.
Yeah, they were inquiring of like, hey, it looks like X and Y are not up to snuff. So we're like, okay, you know what? You're right. We're gonna update that. How about now? And they're like, cool, you're good to go. Or you're just waiting to get confirmation now.
There you go.
So
that's very exciting. I like to hear it. These events coming in, especially a new Star Wars opportunity for players out there. That's very exciting. Was that a Marcel sneaking in?
Was
getting so many gains out there.
Yeah, all the gains.
Is it too loud?
No, not that gain. That's funny.
That's muscle gains.
That's a funny joke, though. No, talk good.
All the puns to be gained.
Oh no! I did it. Why did I do it?
Oh, you did the intro again. Oh no!
Where
we have
is
to
this
start
intro?
over.
No, that's not how we do around here. Oh, let's do this one.
All right, so
yeah,
let's
it's
talk about the
so nice
Salt
we
Lake
saw it
City Open.
twice. I think we're done. Any other information?
Nope, that's it. If you have any
that-
questions, I did post the link in the chat here, and I'll also put it in our show notes.
There you go. You want to post it in non-GSP events on our Discord as well?
I will once we get the GT confirmed. Yeah.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
If you're not on Discord, checking out the latest information.
You should be.
You should be.
Yeah. Speaking
Plain
of
and simple.
Information that could be going on in the GSP Discord, sign up for the Sector Series. That will be starting right after we talk about this next event that's currently happening, the Nickel City X-Wing League. But we should have, there you go, hit that exclamation point sector and sign up on Sector Series. Should be starting on July 1.
July 1.
July 1st.
You got a whole quarter watermelon?
Oh, Jesus, Marcel.
Yeah,
People who are only listening and not watching, he just showed us literally a quarter of an entire watermelon on a plate.
All right, Marcel has to finish that before the episode's over challenge.
I'll finish it before the next segment.
I was going to say, I get a feeling he's going for it.
But yeah, Sector Series, if you're not familiar with it, again, you play in the time zone that you want, not the time zone you live. So it's a great way. If you only play on Saturday mornings versus weekday after midnight in your time zone, we have a place where you and time where you can play at those specific hours, and this seems to work out really well to get people into their games, get people who might not play online events because of the weird scheduling issues or a big commitment or something like that. So free. Play in your own time, or play when you want to. And, of course, we do have some prizes to announce, but we'll have more details on those. But basically, the winner of each sector is going to get some custom GSP merch. And then, of course, the overall winner will get some too. So, but yeah, signups are already live. You can choose your sector. Jump in right now into the Roll Better. The only thing is that we do require you to link your Roll Better with your Discord so that people can find you. So there's no question about
Will,
Yeah.
what if I'm available for multiple time zones? Can I be in multiple sectors?
We would want you to, but no.
Yeah.
As cool as that would be, is what I'm trying to say. No, take just one sector, please. How the tournament should feed into all one. It's all one event because it's all feeding into a top 16 cut sometime in August.
So
Whatever,
Sector 2 has 2 players. 3, because there's one on hold. So that can I jump from my sector to that one?
Sure,
Play
if
one
you could play
game?
in that time zone.
I can play one game. I mean, what time zone is it? It's like
Well, that would
Like over
be after. That would be like midnight for us,
I can do a
I
midnight game.
believe. I don't know.
Yeah,
Don't quote me
sector-
on that.
Yeah, Sector 2 would be, let's pull up the time zone reference chart for
Give
Chicago.
give us the Chicago
Uh,
reference.
Chicago.
Here.
That would be
Chicago.
12 a.m. to 4 a.m.
I can
12
do a
a.m.
midnight game
So
because
midnight
it's
games.
basically you play one game, win, lose, or draw, and then you concede every other one, and you're automatically in the top 4. Actually, you lose all your games and you're in the top 4.
Well,
Hopefully-
I mean, we have until July 1st, so,
So
and we'll
hopefully,
be.
we're gonna try to push a couple more notices.
So that would be like Australia, right? Australia
I
would
think
probably
that-
be
I
the only
think
one that
this is
would.
I think that's Australia.
Yeah, it
prime
should
time.
go. Yeah, they're
I
afraid.
think, let me pull up Australia.
Can you
Australia. That's
imagine
5,
how the
that's
Earth
5
rotates
PM.
around the sun for a second?
Yeah. That's 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Australia.
Hawaii. Anybody in the Pacific would be a great time zone for them to play in the evening.
Yeah, so I'm gonna definitely plan on messaging a couple of
Yeah, 'cause
the.
Pacific is 10 p.m. That's not so bad.
That's why we spread it out. 4 of them, like I said, it is a generalized thing. So if you play at 11:30, you can sign up for the one that's a little bit later. It's an estimate. The main goal is to be not having to have you match with an Australian one week, a Canadian the next week, someone from Belgium the following week, and then someone who can only play Sunday at 9 p.m. Right?
Yeah, I don't know what kind of league would make you do that.
Yeah, what
Yeah,
kind
who
of
knows?
horrible league would make you?
That sounds like a great segue into.
Our real topic tonight, Alpha Headlines, we have the Nickel City X-Wing playoffs happening already. But I'm going to
Playoffs?
Yeah, there was a whole thing. Season 5, if you missed out on it, we had Greg on for Season 4. I think it was about the same time, like going into the finals or so. Like the same time of the season. But
Did everyone here make it into the finals or the playoffs?
Yes, I
Will's
believe so.
in. Yeah,
I'm in.
Ryan's in. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Ryan's
think
in.
so.
I didn't play.
well, we
Yeah, so
didn't
he's
sign up.
in.
Yeah,
Marcel,
if you don't play, you can't lose.
I'm undefeated.
There you go.
undefeated. Greg,
I don't get Hey, Greg, I don't get notifications from your channel, so I didn't even know it was going on.
That's usually
Well,
like
I
a,
mean,
it's
turn
a
them on.
you thing.
What
Yeah.
do you want me to do?
Greg, can you
That's
turn
not a
on
Greg
my
thing. That's a you
notifications?
thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Greg is
No.
aware of your notifications.
I need like a personal invitation and a text message, and maybe even like some
Marcel,
digital flowers sent to me.
Can I
You
can I
can sign
write
up
in
for
my
Team
draft pick, Greg,
right
next
now.
year? Can I just
Yeah.
write in Marcel Monzano?
We're going off the board.
No, see, what will happen is you'll draft Marcel, and he'll just think he's on another team. Whoever tags, basically, it's not who drafts Marcel who gets him; it's whoever tags him first gets him.
Who
That's
tags
true.
him first?
There
There
you
you go.
We're getting some secret strategies now. I'm gonna, Greg. Would you allow trades of that nature? Can I trade a player who's not even playing the game?
Who's not even in the league.
I've been trading for Anne Hathaway.
Yeah. Second round draft pick, Marcel Monzano,
We've-
in a hand.
We've
right?
acquired the rights to Keanu Reeves.
All right. Before we go too far, though, for those who may be uninformed, Greg, you're going to have to explain these divisions for me. I can explain the overview. That this is a team tournament where players are chosen by captains. The captains were selected by Greg, and then they drafted a pool of almost 200 players to get players onto their team. And we've been battling it out for 10 rounds of the regular season. Not exactly Swiss because you play.
It's not Swiss
schedule.
at all.
Yeah, it's a set
The
schedule.
schedule.
So
Well, it's kind of Swiss in your division with like 2 outlying weeks, but
It's like round robin plus one.
yeah, that's a good way of saying it.
it's a
So it's basically
curated
like
season.
It's not
like
Swiss at all. It's not
It's like a
Swiss.
professional league where you
Yeah.
play against. You make sure you
It's
play
like-
against your.
Like a
It's
professional
modeled-
league. This is.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's like it's not. It doesn't have me in it, so it's not a professional league.
Yeah, it's not. It's
So-
not Draft League Pro, professional
Yeah.
X-Wing. But yeah, it's modeled after a sports league. That's kind of the conceit of the league, is that it's a sports league of X-Wing. Then you've got our Mike conference and our Carol conference. Mike contains the Marsha and Jan divisions. Carol contains the Cindy and Alice divisions. And I don't think anyone, well, someone might be old enough to get that. I know
I watched Nick and Night.
I know the Crispy's dad got it, and none of the Crispy kids got it. So that was
That's fair.
Who do you blame for that, though? I mean, Crispy Dad got it, but if he didn't pass it on to the Crispy kids,
Yeah, it sort of sounds like it's his ball.
To be
is
fair,
popping.
I don't know if his cable package had TNT at like 2 p.m.
fair, fair enough. So, two divisions, Mike and Carol, obviously. And then those branched down into Marsha, Jan, Cindy, and Alice.
Correct. And then, so for each division, so Marsha, Jan, Cindy, Alice, the top 3 teams made it. And then of the remaining 4 teams in the conference, the top 2 of those teams were wild cards.
Is this what this is over here? Your standings? If I can slide over far
Yes.
enough. The Mike and Carol playoff ranks over here. What you accumulated, it looks like, by wins, games won, and then the final tiebreaker being points scored, if I'm not mistaken here.
Yeah, so it's like series wins. And then if those are tied, games won is the first tiebreaker, points scored being the second tiebreaker.
Yeah, Will, can you scroll over a little bit more so I can see the tiebreakers? Because the Mike division, there were 3 teams with 7 wins and 3 losses at the top. Curious how close the tiebreakers were.
Very close. Very
And if you look at in Mike division, ranked 6 and 7, 5 wins each,
Oh,
36 games won. The
Came
total over, and keep in mind, this is over 70 games played each. The total is 40 points. Or, well, I guess it's 60 points, right? Yeah, 60.
60 points. But over
No.
70 games, that's the difference?
Yeah. It's less than a point a game.
And this, looking at this specifically, so the bottom 2 teams, as you said, in each division will miss out on the playoffs. Is that correct?
Yeah, so, well, each conference.
Each conference. Yes, thank you.
So, theoretically, you could have 5 teams from one division make it. It's just very mathematically unlikely for that to happen. Since you play so many games in
Against
division,
each other, right?
it would be
Right.
you would need like a perfect storm of circumstances for it to work out like that.
Yeah, like they beat everybody else, but and then always beat and lose against each other.
Yeah, but like every other team would need to like moderate how many wins they get to, and then like the other division would have to like completely be awful.
Sure.
Like,
Interesting. We'll call out our teams here. If you're rooting for just us as GSP people, my team, the Rave Crabs, brought by King Crab Louie himself. We did get 2nd overall in the Carroll playoff. We're very proud of our 7-3 for the season. 45 games won, and the top points scored with 1,272. That's where you win games. Focus on the points.
You also got 2nd overall as well, even against the Mike division.
We are 2nd overall with that 45 games won, which is something I really like, Greg. Because we have the dumpster factions. We're looking at you, Scum and CIS. But in this league, they're not required to necessarily win every game. But as long as they're like scoring points and winning some of their games, it's enough to push these teams deeper into the playoffs then.
well, that's what I try to tell people, when they're playing a game, that they're just not like, again, I am pro conceding. I think if you're not having fun in a game, just concede it. It's fine. That's why we let you keep your points. Like, we don't drop you down to 0 for conceding. Whatever you're at, you keep that. But like, if you're still in it and you can't win the game, 100% go for as many points as you can. Like, it helps out in the end. And every year, it's so close. It's like the league is just wildly close. Just because of how the format kind of plays out, it kind of, like the good players get split up. So it's every point matters.
I like that,
Ryan.
especially in a lengthy season. Sorry, go ahead.
Ryan, what team are you on?
The Wolf Pack. Awoo! Yeah, we are the 3rd place in the Mike division, 7-3. 37 wins overall. I think we had the lowest amount of wins of the 7-3s, but I know we had a ton of extremely close games throughout the season. Team overall did very well. And we got the Shadowcasters in our matchup for the playoffs.
Yeah, that's going to be a very interesting playoff series because I think
Especially
the Shadowcasters
because
are a little underrated.
we beat the Shadowcasters 2 weeks ago, so second to the last week of the season. And since we got home field advantage, set up the exact same matchups in exact same scenarios.
Ooh.
So it'll be really interesting to see how Shadowcasters may respond and how we may adapt to their potential responses. And it was still kind of a close matchup. I think we ended up winning 4-3, so it was one away. But yeah, it's the exact same matchups we just had in the regular season. So
Yeah, don't fix what isn't broken, right?
I mean, 2 of our losses in that matchup were 1-point losses. So
That's
we
true.
felt like we were pretty
The
close
other way.
to winning that more than what it would look like.
It's true. We should make a note that in this league, that one team is assigned home, one team is assigned away, and basically home makes all but like one decision for the pairings. I think away gets
Well,
a
they make all
veto.
the decisions, but away gets to veto one scenario.
Veto a scenario.
There-
'Cause
there's very little control that the away team has, basically in the order that the matchups get made. So they don't know for sure which 7 players are playing that week out of the possible 8,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and then they can veto
But
one scenario.
Not to say that home always wins. We've seen
Yeah.
many away teams
What was
take the
what was
wins.
the final count, Greg? For
I
wins
believe it
away?
was 52-48 for home.
Wow. Okay, I'm surprised it swung the other way because you said last season it was the other way, right?
Yeah. But I mean, I think we're like well within any kind of variance right now because like last season I think was like 53 something 47.
Yeah, they're right. You're still right in the middle tolerance area where it's like it's reasonable in either way.
Interesting.
It's like the illusion of control is enough for people to value being home, but like it hasn't like
They get
borne out.
cocky?
And
Well, you still make mistakes, and it's still a dice game at the end of the day. So even a
Oh,
good
sir,
matchup could
this is a game of
go poorly.
positioning.
Well, I mean, I meant dice game as
Blocking.
in like you could have a great matchup, great positioning, and just everything goes wrong on the dice.
Look,
I will immediately leave a room I'm spectating of a game if I see dice stats at the end of a game. Like, I don't care anymore. Get out of here with that.
I'll leave a game if I see dice stats after the first round of combat. Let me tell you.
oh, that's
Is that a shot at someone in here?
No,
No.
just you know who you are. No, it's interesting though to still have that mechanic going into the playoffs. How does that work, home and away in playoffs then?
the exact same way. So the home team gets to make the matchups. There's no difference.
But
between the thing.
who gets to be assigned home versus away?
So
The
it's
higher-
the higher playoff rank. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
So
So like,
normal. Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead. I think you
I
were
was
gonna
gonna say-
get.
Normally on an analysis end, usually when you think about team events in X-Wing in the past, a lot of the matchups was a really big deal, and normally would be something that teams would go back and forth on creating the matchups for a round. I think now being in this league for a whole year, that advantage isn't as noticeable because once you know your matchups and scenario you're playing, then you can pick your list to show up, right? In a lot of
True.
other team events, you showed up with a bunch of lists you already know about, right? XTC
Mhm.
and any other in-person team events where like that's where the matchups can't be completely decided by one team because that's where it would like completely throw off like a massive amount of advantage. But because the lists aren't known, you only know the factions, there's a lot of interplay of like what could someone bring, what are they expecting someone to bring, how could they play to the scenario, or make sure their opponent doesn't get to play the scenario, a la like salvage and you just bring a ton of crit stuff instead of a bunch of stuff to bring boxes type of thing, right?
Mhm.
So I think that's why it's able to be balanced out. Usually when I've like talked about this league with other people who aren't in it, they're like, man, that making the matchup sounds like a gigantic advantage. Like that doesn't seem fair. Like I think it's the big difference is you don't have set lists when you make
Right.
matchups.
Yeah, and that little bit of flexibility be like, okay, in Scramble, we're going to drop all of our marksmans. We don't need them. Uh, I mean, I'll take a higher initiative person or something like that. Or I'm playing Assault, so let's get some more bodies on the board.
Yeah.
Greg,
Plus,
or
it,
bigger
like
bodies,
selfishly,
huge large,
it
yeah.
rewards you for paying attention. Like it very much like I'm the one who can see every team's chat, so like I can see how many times people are like, oh, I played him last week, or I saw him play last week on stream. He was flying this, and this, and this, and I think he really liked it. So maybe plan for something like that. Like there's a lot
Some
of like scouting.
Yeah. So if you are a one list player, that could be actually a downfall to you, especially now going into the playoffs and late in the season, to where if you're still flying your worlds list that you prepped for 6 months for in the league, they're gonna know. Do you, Greg, from your experience, would you say most people change their list, or would you say a majority stick on major themes of their list?
I think the top players have like 2 or 3 list variations they go to. Like
One for Scramble, one for Assault, one for Chance.
Yeah, they have like two or 3 lists that they've played a ton.
Mm.
For someone like me, the whole like conceit of it is I get super bored playing the same thing like even like 4 times in a row. So I didn't want to make a league that I wouldn't even be like super pumped into playing. So I just wanted to give people freedom to like fly new stuff. Like obviously there's a restriction of being in faction, but like you can at least do what you want in that faction. But I think like the top players pretty much stick to like 2 or 3 lists based on the scenario. And then eventually, I mean, also top players they counterplay a lot. They'll tech against what they think their opponent's going to bring.
Sure.
Yep. I mean, I got scouted and countered in our last matchup against Firebirds, where I had been last couple rounds been playing some games on stream, or not on stream, on Discord and sharing my screen. And I think Andre, the captain of the Firebirds, was like in both of those and saw me play my list both times. And then he gave his player like, hey, you should like not bring any target lock based stuff. Like I absolutely destroyed that because I had Goron as an example in Empire.
Sure.
So he like showed up with 3 barrage bomber tie bombers, one of them being Jonas, and then like the boys being like backstabber mauler. So like all of its offense was not predicated on having locks at all. And we both had 6 ships, and I was like, oh, okay, so this is Goron's just passing evades. It's still valuable, but not full kit to its use. So, usually if you're facing Empire, you expect Evader, you expect a Tomax, like a SL Tomax, you expect certain things that Goron would be able to handle. But I got scouted and teched against. And speaking of faction stuff, so amongst all of our teams here, represented James with the Outlaws, myself with Wolfpack, and Will with Ravecrab. I know Wolfpack, we changed our factions mid-season. Did you guys both do that or no?
We did not. So we took a vote, and it was overwhelmingly no change. I got it right the first time.
The Rave Crabs, we did change.
You guys did, yeah.
We switched up. I think everybody just like rotated left, if that makes sense of how I'm trying to describe it. Like it was
rotated
not that
left on Yasby.
Yeah, maybe. Well, it wasn't like I'm going to take your faction, you take mine. It's just like everybody like moved over one step and got a new faction. I went from Empire to CIS. Funwalk took Empire from me and gave up Scum. And then I think our Rebel player took Scum and somebody took the Rebels. Like, I don't know. It was we really just did the three card Monty with our factions.
Musical chairs.
Yeah. But it seemed to work out. I mean, we did just as good. I think we were 4-1. So we ended up 3-2. I don't know if is there a way to track halfway through this?
I mean, you have to go to the week sheets at the end.
And then calculate it? No thanks. But we still did very good, even with the movement and stuff around. I think for us, the Rave Crabs, we wanted that fresh list. Like, I was so over Bombers and Rack, or I was flying dumb stuff in Empire because I was bored of it, right?
Yeah. I was tired of Resistance because I was practicing so much of it up to Worlds. I was like, I would like to play new Empire or Rebel stuff. Please give me one of those.
Give me something I could list build into, dive into, maybe start coming up with some different strategies, right? A fresh take on the faction. And I think that has worked for us. I will say that there is definitely players out there just meta listing, right? Playing 3 arc, 2 Y-wing, right? Or B-wings, I guess. Rebels don't really have a meta. It's Luke and Wedge, I would imagine, is about their only meta they have these days.
Well, B-wings.
I think it's like I haven't seen B-wings in a long time.
People are bad at flying B-wings.
I would absolutely. If I had Rebels, I would have been flying B-wings every game.
I love
sure.
B-wings.
They should, but I'll be in James to tell you, they are not easy. First-hand experience, they are not just cruise through the middle of the board and win games. So
you have to know your path.
With like how many variations with the 2 B-wings are you guys seeing?
0. I've seen nobody flying them.
I'm not seeing it at all.
Yeah, I haven't seen them in a good long time.
What, the B-wings?
Yeah, the B-wings.
Rebel players.
Like Gina and Braylon. I haven't seen them in a good while. All the Rebels I've seen is Luke, Wedge, and Fenn.
I saw someone swap out
Sabine
Fenn
and whatever
for Gavin, and I was like, you know what? That's pretty hot, actually.
Yeah, the third 5-pointer can be
By the way,
a U-wing or anything else.
If you guys are curious.
I
mean, I did it 10 minutes ago, but yeah.
I still see some red on that, so I don't know.
Yeah, you can get in there a little bit.
I don't know.
Come on.
I think you copped out a little early, but so no, I don't know what people have been
so
flying
weird.
For Rebels.
I would assume B-wings would have been used a ton because I mean the top Rebel list from Worlds was Paul running. I mean you can pick right.
Paul,
Luke or pick. Look, so what? Anyone can play X-wing. You can do it. I believe in you people. But yeah, pick Luke or Wedge. It's reasonable to go either one. Then the 2 B-wings and then the 2 A-wings. You could, if you want, make one of those A-wings a 4-pointer and then make one of those other A-wings a Sabine TIE fighter. You have some options, but core is pick a 5-point X-wing, take your 2-point B-wings, find out the last 6 points. Have fun. Go murder stuff with a B-wing.
I think Paul did well with that list because Paul, not because B-wing. That's my opinion.
Also, it had a bit
I think
of
that's
a
wrong.
surprise.
I'll be straight up. I think that's wrong. I think plenty of
Paul
people
sucks.
at Worlds did good with B-wings. Sure, Paul sucks too. True. He didn't. Confirmed. Just road rule better against non-Americans.
Wow. Anyways, we didn't cover. Let's go back to Ryan. You're on Wolfpack. Ended up 3rd in the Mike division, having 7 wins, 3 losses, 37 games won. And
you scroll over left a little bit. I think you'll see that in our division, not the conference. I think Wolfpack ended up number 1 in our division.
Sure did.
True.
Yeah, we did. Our captain Sevwall was extremely heartwarmed to find out when we got the win in our division over Havoc.
Ooh, it was a division
rival.
Plan.
Yeah,
rivalry. Sure. Yeah. Interesting. Yep. Interesting. Then Outlaws doesn't just play for freaking captains the ship over there with the Outlaws. James,
Yeah, got repping the shirt too.
heck yeah,
Repping the merch.
heck yeah.
So, yeah, we ended up 6-4. We had a pretty good season. Had a couple of really strong weeks and a couple of tough ones, but overall positive. Greg had to come in and ruin our 7-3 for the end of the season, but besides that, everything was great.
Blaming the commish,
Well,
just like the NFL.
I think you were handed a couple softballs there at the beginning of the season. Let me tell you.
I did have to buy someone a T-shirt because they came in and Greg, do you remember who they played against?
Oh, it was someone good. They beat someone good, right? Like,
Yeah.
correct? Not Quarantine. He's not in. Aurelian, maybe?
Oh, you know what? I think it was Aurelian. I think you're right.
Aurelian's really good.
Yeah, I want to say he whooped me in our game recently.
Who did you buy a T-shirt for, though? Finish that story.
One of the subs, I think.
Yeah, Tango Fox. Yeah, one of the subs. Let me see.
Because you had two players drop over the course of the season, so I had to get random subs thrown in.
It was a weak sub that I had to get. But also I did have a player drop from the team, and that got filled by Octacon. So that was a pretty solid. Pretty solid sub in.
I think you've been doing okay. Didn't need that last win. You got us in.
Yeah, we got us in. So
very
we
impressive,
were okay. I'm trying to look for that week that we had Tango Fox come to play.
How did you just a random sub like off from the minor leagues, huh?
From the street. Yeah, it was Aurelian. It was Aurelian that he came and won like 22-15 against Aurelian, and I was like, I wrote that game off, dude. So, but he ended up getting us the win for that week because it went down to Game 7. So, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna buy your T-shirt. He was like, why? I was like, you just beat one of the best players in X-Wing, and he was like, oh my goodness, I didn't know that.
The guy had a funny accent, so I didn't think much of him.
So yeah, Aurelian definitely paid me back in week 10. I had a very rough game. So
wow.
I mean, he's gonna do that 9 times out of 10.
He's gonna do it 9 times out of 10. But that one time out of 10 where he's up against this like no name sub, it came out and got him. So yeah, I had a ton of fun, and I'm excited for the rest of the playoffs.
I want to do some shout outs here before we talk about the current what's going on the wild card round. I want to give some shout outs here for the individual players. Of course, big shout out to the Ascendancy, the returning champions from last year, going 8-2, taking the top spot overall, uncontested there. No one else got 8-2. Very proud of them.
Yeah.
But then 5 Straight Boost does take the Mike playoff standings overall at 7-3 and 44 games won. Very impressive for 5 Straight
Yeah, Sean from Ascendancy did a great job with all the Dread drama from earlier, and then 5 Straight Boost has always been solid. They've always just been a really, really solid team.
Now, let me ask you, though, actually, one last thing before we move on to individuals. Which team had the 4 first-round draft picks?
Oh,
Of
yeah.
course not. Wanderers.
The
Yeah.
Wanderers?
So you mean the 7th seed in the Carroll Conference?
That's why when everyone was complaining, I was like, it doesn't always work out like this. Like,
I literally came into the captain's channel and I was like, cool. So I'm just looking at the draft board here, and I see that Coruscant has 4 first round picks. They were like,
looks like they got a pick better. Clearly.
Well, I'm an East 5-5, but
You know what? They're in the playoffs. They could make a run. You never know.
Yeah,
I mean, they definitely have the talent to make a run.
They're
Like,
gonna Rave grab to do it though.
I mean, they did
That's
have the number 1 overall pick, Tom Flanagan. So if he
Yeah,
goes on a tear,
their team is stacked. I would not be underestimating them if I was playing.
I'm
them.
glad they're in the other conference.
we're just
I
gonna
don't have
start
to
some smack
worry
talk.
about that.
Greg. That's
He's
all.
just gonna
That's
talk
all.
smack talk early.
I just want just a little tease. Of the
Well,
smack
so
talk.
Will, the Rave Crabs, you're facing the Coruscant Wanderers, are you not?
I don't know. Let's talk about individual. Then we'll go into wild card rounds.
Okay.
I wanted to just briefly put this up on screen so people could see it, and give a big shout out to those that did exceptionally well. 3 undefeated players: Andrew Oler, Kevin Conrad, and Juan. Why do you have 4 names, Juan? Juan Jose Garcia Roche. Which is as close as I'm going to get.
There were more undefeated players, but those are the top 3.
Well, the top 3 that we're looking at that played at least 9 games.
9 games. Yeah.
Juan.
Yeah, we don't need a bunch of LeBron James players that like just decide to sit half the year and just collect wins later.
Yeah.
I mean, Kendall's 7-0. It's not like he's this
But
big
it's
player.
not 8. It's not 8.
He took 2.
He was
took 2 weeks
He was
off.
a sub. He wasn't even drafted. He
Okay,
fell
well,
in.
Okay, that's true.
Drafted, yeah.
Big shout out to Kendall. Honestly, getting the ascendancy to that top spot.
He's the
Great-
top
great job.
ascendancy player.
He sure is. He
Yeah.
did great. He's on my list of things. So Juan got 9 wins out of 10 games. Very impressive as well. That's Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan.
Face of
Yeah,
the
there's
lead.
There's 2 Wands up there.
Do you
Spoiler
want
All I
alert,
want to
we have-
know,
We have a
all I want
Wand
to know
off this
is
week.
that like, if I see pick number 0 near the top, I gotta wonder: are those captains making their matchups just a little easier for themselves?
You have to wonder.
You
You
have to
have to
wonder.
think about it.
Hey,
Yeah.
what is this? What are we talking about
You
here?
have to.
So actually, I'm learning something right now because, like I said, I haven't been watching this at all, like the NCX.
Sure.
I didn't even know that this existed. But I am in another team tournament and my teammates are Kevin Conrad, number 2, and who's 9-0, and Cameron Galloway, who's 7-2, and we're in first place. We're undefeated in that team one, but no wonder I'm getting carried. Those guys are good.
These players are good.
Hey, look at those guys. Kevin,
Just sit,
Yeah.
just relax back and recline, Marcel. They got you.
Yeah, they got you.
obviously.
Obviously.
If you would permit me, Kevin Conrad, first off, you see he was pick number 89.
89.
He's
Yeah.
ranked 2nd here,
Whew.
which is insane. But last season, he was 2-7.
Yeah.
And then he comes out this season and is like, you know what? 9-0.
Yeah, most.
I'm never
most
losing
improved-
again.
Most improved, hands down.
And then I think who's got the 118?
118. Yeah,
Eric.
that's
Eric Kingery, rank 6.
Yeah.
Who's drafted 124th. And he's sitting at rank number 6 in the entire league. Talk about getting value.
You do have a rating here. Is it your plums stat here?
Who's a sub? There's somebody brought. He's a sub and he's 7.
He didn't start on the team. He was brought in after the draft.
Yeah.
From the minor leagues, by the
From the
way.
minor-
Yeah, he filled in for a drop and then just casually went 7-0. Averaging, he's the one who averaged the most points in the league, 21.9 points a game.
21.9. Yeah.
Oh,
Insane.
I'm scrolling over to these extra stats we got here. You gotta tell me what this plums is. I know it's PLMS, but we're gonna shorten it to plums.
Plums is plus minus, so it's the differential in points you scored versus what your opponent scored.
Okay. So obviously those at the top outscoring their opponents a lot more than those at the bottom. Then was it
Yeah.
War? That was the comparing your draft rank to your overall rank. How does that work?
That's efficiency.
That's efficiency.
Efficiency takes your where you were drafted and subtracts what your current rank is. So the highest efficiency means like the better value you got from that pick.
Yep. Greg asked the NCX Discord if anyone could explain wins above replacement, aka war, and I came the closest before he actually explained it.
It's true.
What is war?
I'd like
Greg war.
What
so war takes all of the stats and normalizes them versus what like a completely average player in the league. So like take every stat, average it, and then it compares your stats against it and then weighs them and comes up with a number. So like this is saying that Juan is
seeing all of this, but yeah, you're okay. Yeah, keep going.
Okay.
I got the war pulled up now, though. Yes.
So like Juan is 62 times, or well, his performance. I want to say his performance this season is 62 times that of an average player.
Wow.
Like he's worth like 62 average players this season, and it's not a perfect war because there's just not enough data. Like for baseball, you know, there's like a stat for everything that all factors in. So the more you have, the better you can do. So it's just like the best approximation we can do with what we have. And obviously you need like more players to really, really thing it out. But you know, it's no one's going to grave with their war on it from the league. So who cares?
It's just an interesting stat to kind of compile a lot of this information into a single statistic.
Well, it's there because I think sometimes players can get drafted based on how they finished last season, where there's actually value in some players that didn't have a great record, but they scored a lot of points, and maybe they just were given tough matchups, and they lost those matchups 20-19. You know, 20-19 means you're 0-1, but that's a lot better than like a 20-2, right? Like,
I'm trying to find something.
So it's trying to give captains stuff to look at so that they can find value in players.
So
here's somebody with a positive. Oh, it's Greg. It's Greg. It's you. Greg, you have a positive war at the bottom here. But it doesn't look like anybody else does. So I'm trying to find the last person with a positive war.
It sounds like the war takes into account all the possible different stats and puts a number on it.
Sure.
So as long as you're good at everything, that your war is going to be higher.
Yeah.
So you'll see there's a 4 and 5 player, I think, that you scroll by that has a positive war.
Yeah,
they have a losing record, but you know, they're averaging 19.7 points a game. They're yeah.
It's at 102, that Tango Foxtrot. That's the guy that subbed and beat Aurelian.
There you go.
Yeah, so he played 4 games total. He went 3-1. You know, like he's not going to climb up the ranks because the first ranking is based on number of wins.
Yeah.
So if like if a captain's just being like, oh, he was 102 last season, you know, like look at the stats. He's 20.8 points per game. You know, he's doing stuff. Like
Also his plum, as Will calls it, is 20. So he did lose a game. He still had a very strong plum. So which makes that evens out into that great war.
Interesting. Very interesting.
So it's just there to help captains find value in the lower ranked players, because I don't believe that every lower ranked player is necessarily like as deserves to be down. They just have to be because that's how life works. But like, I mean, if you were to draft Kevin Conrad based on lessons,
that's what happened.
Yeah, if you were to draft Kevin Conrad last season, he You literally like 2-7 last season, 9-0 now. Like, and what? So that's a 5th-round pick he was taken in.
That's a retainer right there.
Yeah, that's a cheap retain. That costs you a
Yeah, the
4th-round pick to
cheap
keep him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to tell you how to do your job, Fish, but
That's what I had to do.
Do
guy.
your job.
Yeah, that might get
You
get drafted before round 4, so it's an easy pickup.
well, yeah, you're allowed to retain a player for the cost of 1 higher round than they were picked. So
Does that require 2 first-round draft picks for a first-round draft pick?
for a 1st-round pick, it's your 1st and 4th.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
No one's actually ever kept a 1st-round pick, and that's kind of how I want
Probably
it.
not worth it.
Yeah,
be
that
quite
makes
honest.
sense. You don't. Yeah, those players should be moving around. Like Ryan here, one of the top picks of the league. With the
Oh no,
casual-
we need to look at that.
We are looking at it. You got your plums at only 11. You
Yep.
did score
I'm gonna call them
172.
plims because that slash looks like an
You
eye.
want
I'm going
plims?
I like Plims
Plims.
more. Plums is making me think weird things.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
plims.
don't understand that connection, but I like plims. We'll go with that. Plims, only 11. It's okay, it's positive. And you played 9 games, .444. Averaged 19.1 points per game, though. You got to be proud about
Oh,
that.
I think
I was
I
gonna
think
say-
you should actually look at that. I think captains should look at points per game and be like, all right, so even when he loses, it's not by a lot. He's still getting me points.
Yeah, he was racing to 20,
tiebreaker.
right? Like,
Yeah.
that's what
Yep.
we were saying about the rape crabs. Is like, just go to 20. Just your goal is not to outscore your opponent. Your goal is to just get to 20.
Yeah,
As soon
I
as
may
possible.
I may be down here this season, lower than 500 on my overall record, but I made every game completely competitive and close for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I see it there.
Except
still
one,
good
I
value.
think. There's only one game where I didn't get above 15 points, maybe. Yeah, that sounds right.
Still pretty cool. We're gonna take
Yeah,
a look
that-
at James Ritter. Actually, we're together. Look at that, 62 and 63. How fun!
How fun.
I had you up by 1 spot.
What is the difference?
We have. Oh wow, this is
What
actually
is the
very
difference?
interesting. I did not
It's
see.
the plus minus.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, my plims is 22, dog. I don't know what you're doing over there. I don't even remember.
Yeah,
what that
you
stat
gotta
was.
gotta. Those are rookie numbers down there, James. You gotta get the 22 plims.
Well, you know what? It was. I had several games. Like my losses were losses. And my wins were wins. So
Yeah, actually, that's crazy that we ended up at the
Same
exact
points.
same everything.
yeah.
What was plims again? Now I'm second guessing my understanding of
point
plims.
plus minus. So basically, however many points your opponent scored in that game versus how many points you scored.
Oh, so you were
positive if you
giving up
won,
points.
it's negative.
This is a defensive stat. You were giving up points. I wasn't.
Yeah.
Is that right? Is that how that works?
It's kind of a defensive stat. It's
Yeah.
it's the difference between
stretch,
how
I
many
know.
points you scored in total in your games played versus how many you gave up in your games played.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
offense and defense.
It's 0.4 points against. in
Well,
NFL.
yeah.
Yes,
Sure.
exactly.
That is actually hilarious. I didn't even know that we were.
We're
right there.
identical, huh? 16.7
we're ident-
points per game. At exactly
just go-
150.
A little bit differently.
I can't
I
even.
like- I like-
I
I
can't
like-
even
I like to
imagine
have
that's how that worked. We're just now
I
obviously
like-
seeing this.
I like to keep my games close.
Keep your friends close and your enemies closer, kind of thing. So
Yeah, and your
I
loss is real big. Yeah.
yeah, you maybe just like score points all the time.
Yeah, I think I had like a 20 to 24 game. So yeah, that was.
I did get
no,
negative.
Sorry, a 4 to 24 game as my week 10. So
That's not good.
yeah.
I did get negative 40 efficiency. Not great. I get drafted high for the face and the looks, not so much the
The-
play style,
GSP famous, yeah, or X-Wing famous.
I guess. I'm still putting out the points. So, but anyways, enough about this. We gotta talk about the wild card round. Okay, walk me through this. What is even going on in this tournament structure? We're in the wild card. What does that even mean?
I don't know why people find this sheet so hard to read. It makes so much sense to me.
Greg, I'm playing the
Show him
beautiful
graphic.
idiot.
Show him the graphic. That makes no sense. There you go. The graphic
Oh,
that's
Beautiful.
backwards.
I don't know how I
Beautiful
can get
graphic.
this all in one shot here, but
No, you can't.
it's
You
now impossible to read on your phone. I apologize. But we're
No,
looking
so you
at
just have your away team on the left, your home team on the right.
okay. I
That's-
see
that's
the
it.
home
That's
teams.
it.
I meant more about like who's facing off each other. How did you decide the wild
Oh.
cards? What's going
So
on in
it's-
this week?
So each conference has the seeds 1 through 8. So 8 is, or 1's home against 8, 2 home against 7, 3 home against 6, 4 home against 5.
Makes sense.
Just that's how it breaks down.
and then it'll keep doing that each new week. So
Yeah,
next
so
week,
you don't get
seed.
reseeded or anything. It's just
and the
highest seed versus lowest seed, then middle seed versus middle seed.
Okay. Is there like a bracket? Is this
There-
on a
there's-
bracket?
there's
no
there's
bracket.
because of the way that the seeds work.
Okay. But there is two
it's
different
popcorn.
halves, though, as Ryan was alluding to earlier, that is
Yes,
one
the
division
two conferences. Yeah,
conference. Thank you. That's the terminology I needed.
the two
The
conferences
Mike.
on the opposite sides of the bracket.
Interesting. So the Mike and Curl teams won't actually see each other until the final, then? Is that my
Right.
understanding?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Interesting. I love
So basically, the third round of the playoffs will crown a conference champion,
Hmm.
and then it'll be a overall league champion.
Interesting. Did anybody get a bye then? Is that how that works?
No. So if we did 6 teams, then I think 2 teams would need a bye. But doing 8 teams, no one needs a bye, and they're both 4 weeks long. So why would I want to?
Why
Just
would you
tell-
want to?
More people.
Well,
more play.
that was one of the suggestions in like the like I do like an end of season survey.
Mhm.
One of the suggestions that was, I don't know, a couple people wrote like too many teams in the playoffs, but like for me, that's like, why would I not want as many people involved for as long as possible? I don't want to cut people out for no reason, you know?
Right. And that's something that we're just used to with Swiss, where you go from 64 to 4, right? That
Right.
we cut out a majority of individual players. But in these team events, you're really just fighting then for, well, you still have to be not the lowest then.
Well,
in
there's
Yeah.
also
your
a
division.
really big incentive, as we were alluding to earlier, to doing well during the regular season, because
Mhm.
doing well gets you a higher seed, which means that you get to be home more often,
You
and
get to
you're
be home
playing
more often,
against
yeah.
lower seeded teams, right?
Sure. You
Mhm.
need to put that
Yeah,
in
for
quotes.
people,
Well,
I clarified this
Not
with.
necessarily the worst teams. They just place lower in the regular season.
I asked Greg
It was
about
just
this a day or two ago, and so what a lot of people are probably familiar with is, for those who may or may not follow sports in general, the bracketing of the playoffs is set up more like a professional sports bracket, whereas maybe some of us who are exclusive to X-Wing would see brackets. When the brackets in X-Wing are created, they stay as such. Like if the 1 gets paired to the 8, and then next down in the bracket would be like your mid matchups, your 4 and 5 or whatever. You know, when they converge, they don't change. So if the 1 seed wins and the 4 seed wins, the 1 will face the 4 type of thing. Versus in what I would say is more of a flexible playoff that always prioritizes the rankings. If the 7 seed beats the 3 seed or whatever, or the 2 seed, 7 beats the 2, then and the 1 wins, then the 1 will always play the lowest seed left available. So there's no hard set bracket as it goes through. Once a round of playoff is over, depending on the ranking of the teams left available from the regular season, the highest will face the lowest, and it will crunch the middle from there.
It makes it's a reason to do well in the regular season, like James said, and it also, like, if you're gonna make an underdog run, you're gonna earn it. It's gonna be like a true underdog run. Like, there's no easy path.
Yeah, always going to be playing away. Always going to be playing the best teams possible. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, it always has to be like that, to where the top seeds always play the lower seeds, because you want to keep that home and away advantage all throughout. If at some point it switch, you would lose that advantage.
Yeah, but it's also like, I keep telling people every point matters, but the reason it matters is because, like, it's not just for that. Like, the Firebirds versus Shadowcasters versus Moncala, they're not going to meet in the playoffs unless they both win, I think, twice. But that extra 60 points, if they both win twice and meet in the conference finals, that 60 points is going to give Shadowcasters the ability to dictate the matchups.
Wow.
I don't know. Again, it's not like that's turned out to be like the hugest advantage ever, but I would rather dictate them than not,
Yeah, if you can, right? You might as well have a little say in the matchups. That's awesome.
Has a wild card team ever won the league? Well, no, but this is the first year we've had wild card teams. Like,
I think
you know what I mean?
I want to say the Ascendancy, who won it last year, we were pretty low in the rankings. We certainly were not.
I can check.
Yeah, what was the season for? I swear we had the play-in round. Like, we were playing while other teams got buys. So we were about as low as we could be. Also, shame on Lou. Lou, why is our matchups not in here? Did they magically get in here while I was not looking away? There they are.
Yeah, Lou sent them. I just did it.
Oh, fantastic.
Greg, always. What are you talking about? It was there the whole time.
I looked for a second. It wasn't there, and then all of a sudden it was there.
What do you mean?
Yeah, rule
So,
number 1.
Ascendancy.
League. Greg is never wrong.
Ascendancy was ranked 3rd in the Kelly Kapowski conference. So you didn't have the bye. I believe the first 2 teams got the bye.
Right.
But so you had to play in the wild card round, but you weren't a wild card.
Interesting. Okay. Still, that's pretty. So, like 5th or 6th overall. Still took it out of the 14 or so teams last year, something like that.
You were 4th overall.
Oh, okay. So not as big of an underdog story.
You can try and make it, but I think it's a tough sell.
We felt like underdogs is the whole season, but our performance says different.
That's one of those, like, manufactured, like, whenever at Kansas City's like, oh, the whole world doesn't believe in us, even though they've won the Super Bowl twice in a row.
That's fair. But yeah, I would say maybe not the wild card, but certainly everybody has a chance in this kind of format.
Who's your favorite?
Yeah, Greg, you've
what
been
are
watching
some early predictions from someone who is not playing in it, unless they want to mess up James?
All right. So scroll in because I can't see.
Well, we could just send you the doc.
Oh, there's also there's probably like a more comprehensive, like, just team by team versus seeing all the players and having to scroll it.
Yeah, this doesn't really. I'm looking at, like, the schedule. It means almost like nothing. I was more so seeing who's already got wins. 5 straight boosts are already off to a good win. Order 66 and the Outlaws.
So
James, I
I'm
thought you
just gonna
lost
go
your
with Moncala. There you go.
Going with Moncala. Okay.
Yeah, Moncala.
Fish. Again, we're not telling you how to do your job, but if you don't spend a 4th-round pick to keep your 9-0 player, I might be upset.
New captain.
Yeah. Vote of no confidence.
No confidence.
On that one.
I move for a vote of no confidence in the ModCal Seafood Consortium's leadership.
I'm pretty sure he's here too. So
He's always here. The seafood's always lurking.
lurking. Yeah, I already got my win for this week. So
Great job, James. Really putting in the work.
I see Tango Foxtrot in that matchup for Havoc. So already tapped that sub.
Breaking news. Travis Johansson for Moncala defeats Eric
Oh, wow.
Kingery, and Moncala takes the 1-0 series lead.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
see,
telling you.
Marcel already being proven right.
All
I'm
right.
telling you.
All right. I'll say that's the exciting part of the league. While it's hard to keep track of like every team and like even who's on every team, because there's what 170 something, almost 200 players. I keep saying almost 200, but
There's 160 active, but I think we've had like 170 so players this season.
Yeah. Okay.
It
So
was-
over
we have
160
100
players.
Did we have like 140 picks?
Yes. So it was 140 picks plus the 20 captains.
I gotta say, it's nice to get picked early, so I don't have to stay and go through that many picks
Just go
to
home.
wait to see when I'm picked. 100% honest. Not even like brag level. This is like I just
Yeah.
don't want to be that wait that long.
I get it.
I
can
now I
imagine.
know, like, I don't want to know what it feels like to be like ex football player that had to wait till day 2 to get drafted when they got invited to day 1 getting drafted for NFL.
Aaron Rodgers. Remember that Aaron Rodgers draft where he's just
That was,
sitting
I think
there?
that's like the most infamous one because he gets grumpier every time.
Yeah, the camera focusing on him, he's just getting progressively sadder.
Yup.
That's
Wow.
that's just our resident Nick. I
Probably.
think he went pretty late, didn't he?
Maybe I'll have to check the records. But what I was saying was that even though there's a lot of players, a lot of teams, I do love that there's always something going on in the draft Discord channels. People talk about matchups and making jests at each other. The rivalries inside the
Well,
divisions.
if they're not playing, they're making Juan puns. So
Very
Yeah.
true.
If you look at the matchup for Outlaws this week, we do have a one-off, and we spent about 2 or 3 hours today just making one puns. In the
there-
I really
there
think
can
we
only
need to
be
call this the one-on-one.
one on
Yeah.
one,
one
1v1. Yeah.
Only one will walk away from this one.
Yeah, there can only be one, obviously.
But seriously, that matchup is between like the number 1 ranked player and the number 4 ranked player. It's like a
Yeah,
heavyweight.
if you don't catch that on stream, we got to figure out when that game is. Let us know, James. When is that game scheduled? You don't have to say it on air right now.
I think we're waiting for Juan Jose Garcia Roche to get back to us on what time.
You better put respect on each of his 4 names. All right.
Each of his 4 names. More respect than the last name. I'm hoping to catch that one on stream. I think that game takes precedence over anyone else's game. So if they have a
Whoa.
conflict, everyone else gets bumped.
Whoa.
So I think Greg would agree with that. As Obi-Wan being the face of the league.
Well, one of those players won't play next week, so it is very exciting to see.
Confirmed, one of those players will not play next week.
It will be one of their last games.
Greg, so for the subs, if you can't
Mhm.
find anyone on the sub list, you go to teams that are currently not in the playoffs.
Yeah, so you check your buy player 1st, and then anyone on an eliminated team or in the sub reserves can be your fill-in, but you can only use a player 1 time.
So Juan Jose Garcia Roche, pretty hot on the list of players to grab.
Oh,
Yeah,
all right. This is making bold
if-
claims here. They won't be playing the rest of the season.
I mean, it's 1-0. So, I'm just kidding. There's still a long week to go, and 6 more games to be played.
Yeah, like I said, very exciting. I really love the team events.
But I want to keep playing. Oh, the face of the league.
That's great. um, Greg, did you ever give us your prediction? Do you actually have a favorite? I know it's hard to choose one of your children as a favorite, but have you seen something in one of these teams? Some special chemistry, maybe in their team chats that you're lurking in, or whatever it might be in their games on your streams at Nickel City X-Wing?
I don't know if I have a favorite, but I feel like 5 straight boost is underrated as far as like being a good team.
Okay.
They don't like, they're not very like talkative in the general chat since we took away the shit talk rule. But like, I don't know, man. All these teams have good players.
Well, if you don't have a favorite, then you got to have someone you don't like. What's the opposite end of the spectrum?
There it is.
Oh, let's see.
5 straight boosts. I would agree. I wouldn't say underrated. They have like high expectations, so like we expect them to do good. So like and it's kind of just left at that, right?
Well, they're like when you talk about like the top teams, no one ever mentions them, but they're like always there. Like they're just like consistently solid.
Okay, I gotcha. I would agree.
I don't know if there's anyone I really
worst
don't
team.
like.
Start
I think it's gonna be hard for KDB to win. Like they didn't have a wonderful season, but I mean they're in it, but they have to face Ascendancy, and Ascendancy is just so good. Like
they're in their stride.
I would be shocked. I would be shocked if KDB won this series, and I think they'd be shocked. I think everyone would collectively be shocked, and we'd all be shocked together.
Yeah, I wouldn't say worst, but the lowest ranked team facing off against the team that went 8-1 this season.
Yeah.
Ernie,
8-2.
Isofane, Matt Coggins, Kendall Brown coming in as well. A lot of good players there.
So instead of maybe picking favorites or worst favorites, maybe like, what is your dark horse pick, and what is your like team most likely to what's the word for it? Crap. Like not meet their expectations, like falter early.
So it's ironic here because I think it's the same series. My dark horse, I think, is Rave Crab because this is
Rave
the
Crab's
most
already at a high rank, aren't they?
They had a good season, but this is also the most engaged I've ever seen like Lou. And usually he's like very cavalier about like matchups and stuff. But like I've seen the chat and he's like, all right, who wants what? What are we thinking? And I think he's like smelling like, oh, I've got a team. We got this. And like he sat himself. That's how confident he is. He sat himself in this series. And then, I mean, he's not a bad player, right? Like, Lou's good at the game. Like, he sat himself because he's like, I got a team. And then I think if the Wanderers don't like win a round or two with all the high picks, is that not a disappointing season? I don't know. Like, obviously, I don't think they have anything to actually be disappointed. Like, from like a sports, like pretend I'm Stephen A. Smith right now. Wouldn't it be a disappointing season?
I mean, yeah, probably. If 4
sacrifice.
first-round picks, you should expect to be in the playoffs and win a playoff game, right?
Yeah. Shadowcasters are the dark horse. I also agree that the Shadowcasters don't get mentioned in anything, but Ben is a really, really, really good player. He's probably the best player in Buffalo. I'm not even going to say probably. He is the best player in Buffalo. JJ is obviously the greatest mid to late game player in the game. His starts are terrible. You know it. I know it. JJ. We all know it. It's fine.
Working
But
that towards
they
zero.
got to play the Wolf Pack, and that's not a
Ah,
easy thing.
woo.
That's not. Yeah, it's not a system error. Who's Miguel is really good, but I mean Pink Panther, Charles Holcomb, he's also good. Noah's really good. Noah just hasn't been. Noah usually talks more, but he's been busy with school. So
Noah's still killing it though. Like he's
yeah,
won.
he's like,
he's
yeah,
the
he's
best
good.
record player on Wolfpack right now.
He's good, but like Sevwall, this is the first season he's ever lost games in the regular season.
So now it means he's going to win in the playoffs, right?
Well, that's how it's been, right? He's been undefeated in the regular season and then kind of faded out in the playoffs. Now, regular season, not so. Does it switcheroo?
Yeah. No expectations. Got to keep it going. Just roll on.
I mean, he's super good too. That matchup is Shadowcasters versus Wolfpack has a sneaky chance of being like one of the better, like most evenly matched up matchups we got this thing. And you know Crispy wants it, right? Like Havoc versus Firebird. So you got Andre.
Oh, boy.
Andre,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
nicest person ever, but he's deceptive. He's a killer on the inside. And then you got Crispy, who like wants it. He got the first 3 and then didn't make it last season. He wants that taste back, you know?
Yeah, Andre didn't let me play my Goron Swarm without getting teched against. So how mean is that?
That's pretty mean, Andre. How dare you not take his feelings into consideration? Oh, but then you have Maulers. Who talks about the Maulers, right? And they're playing the Outlaws, and no one really talks about the Outlaws that much. Like, there's just a bunch of teams with like really good players that you don't talk about because maybe they're
Also,
not like
like,
most active in chat or something. But like,
isn't the Meatbags one of the new, I would say, expansion teams that did the best this year?
yes, the Meatbags are that's Tyler's team. I met Tyler at Adepticon. He drank 2 margaritas very quickly. But I mean, they got Doug Howe, they got Kyle, they got Tyler, they got Charlie, they got Desi. Like, I don't know. It's just there's just a lot of good players in this league, and they're spread out. So it's like hard to like really be like, I think this team is going to do it. If if I have to pick somebody, I'm going to pick Ascendancy because they were the best team this season, and they won it last season. So I'll front run. I don't care. Like,
Sticking with the dynasty growing.
I mean, I just think Sean's done such a great job with that team that like
I was on it last year, and the cohesion we had, everybody was talking, really tried to get everybody involved as much as possible. So I would imagine that same kind of philosophy would move on to this year.
yeah, they're just like they're really tight in their room too. Like a lot of good vibes for them.
And that's probably, man, with all the players and 10 Browns in the regular season, it has created like all these like histories and situations that all these teams have been in, right? Which I really think has added to the overall positive narrative of the draft league, Greg. That it's exciting to be just a part of it, just even watching.
But I mean, like even in this, we didn't say anything about the Foxes, and that's got Catherine, Kester, Alex Oler, like they've got play like they're down 1-0 in their playoff series right now, but it was a 24-21 matchup. Like,
sounds like extra innings.
Yeah, I would have to assume, right? Like it's crazy. Like it's just. Oh, they got Justice too, right? They got Thomas, Sean. Yeah. But then, you look at Order 66 and you're like, oh, well, Justice, that's a trade. He's good. And then like, oh, who's he playing? Oh, Cam Murray, also good. Like
Andrew Oler.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Levi. Yeah.
Although this is the third time I think maybe that they've denied us the brother matchup.
Oh, Oler versus Oler?
Yeah.
For shame.
I mean, come on.
Just do it. Give the people what they want. So, also to note, it is nice to see that everyone from GSP that participated in NCX is in not only the playoffs, but had a top half of the conference record, being a 1-4 seed. But only one of us here was a captain this year, being James. Now, James, this was your first year captaining? Yes? No?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Big question. Would you do it again?
I definitely would do it again. I'm not doing it again for next season just because I know my schedule for this upcoming like 6 months is going to be really busy, especially with GTs doing GTs on the weekends when possible, and then doing I have a lot of like work stuff coming up and a lot of work trips. So I just know that I'm not going to have as much time to dedicate as I normally would. So. But yeah, I could definitely see myself coming back to do it again in the future. I had a lot of fun, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to have been able to do it.
Yeah, captains have the most fun. They get to do the most. They also get the most credit at the end of the season too, for better or worse.
For better or worse, yeah. And I would say I have almost no real effect on the team. I think I picked some solid players, and they've been performing above my expectations. So they've been doing amazing.
Well, you had the drop on Obi-Wan, right? That was your first pick? Am I wrong?
That was my first pick. I did tell him ahead of time, I'm going to pick you first. And he was like, I don't know if that's a good idea. But I appreciate the show of support, but it was definitely a good idea. Juan has been definitely a workhorse for the team.
I mean, that's gotta inspire confidence in a player. You know, approach before the draft and be like, "You're the face. You're my new lead quarterback for the rest of the season. Here, I need you."
Yeah.
Yeah,
You lose a game, right on the bench. Right on the bench.
no, it makes sense.
I think
doing
we were
the
talking ahead of like when I was looking at like, hey, who should I draft in the beginning of the draft, and we were talking about like you need 4 wins every week to get the W, right? So
you only need 4 players, really.
you only need
You get 4 undefeated players, you can just take the whole thing, right?
you just take the whole thing. But no, we were talking about like how those players fit into factions, and the strong factions you really need you expect Republic to win their game, you expect Rebels to win their game, you kind of expect Empire to win their game, and then there's a couple of toss-up factions like Resistance and FO and what else?
That's it. Those are the
That's
toss-up
it. Yeah.
factions.
So yeah. So
And you
those
have
are
the
toss-up
garbage tier.
Yeah, so you expect your 3 main factions to win, and then your you need to win one of your toss-ups. So that's kind of how I went into scheduling games as well. Of like, okay, I need this, I need these 3 players to win, and then I'm really trying to pit one of these 2 players to get a win as well. So that's kind of how I built out my factions as well, because I need, I could put putting Juan into Republic where he's already super comfortable, but also just doubling down on that, like, you're gonna get the win every week, and he did. No pressure. Juan.
How many times has someone vetoed Assault? Has he just been playing Assault all
every
season?
time?
Every time? Really?
No, not every time, but it is a lot. I try to save him for last to try to like bait out a veto early, and that way I can get Juan onto the Assault that he likes. But
see, I love hearing that like strategy stuff. That's what I want from captains, is to like really be like trying to like sneak in Assault where you shouldn't get it or something like that.
Yeah, or like try to sneak in another faction that they don't want to play on a certain objective and making them veto that. But I also did like matchup strength, similar to like how like the XT or not XTC. Is XTC does like matchups where like I think I would do really well against this list,
Yeah, we had like a ratings kind of system.
Ratings,
Most
exactly.
most teams do a rating. in XTC.
Yeah, I think I like copy and pasted yours that you used for the USA team.
Well, it's a little bit easier because you have a set. You know what the list is going to be, so it's much easier to rate versus a more generic faction and
so
possible
I just did
scenario.
I just did like a diagram of like, if you were playing Rebel on Assault, give me like a 1 out of 5. Like, do you think you feel comfortable with that matchup or no? And then just use that as kind of like a guide to set up matchups and stuff like that.
Sorry.
That sounds like a lot of work. So overall, how much time did you spend, like, per week, say?
It was a lot of front-loaded work to get everyone's matchups how I wanted them, like, and
Yeah, but you would even think like over a course, if it's a 10 game thing, like you would think like people would learn new things as they play more games. And
I definitely was suggesting, especially at the mid season, I was like, hey, like you played 5 games now, or about 5 games, go and update your matchups spreadsheet again to see like if there's any changes. Like oh, I thought I was really strong against Empire on salvage. Turns out I was a terrible idea. I did terrible. I'm gonna put that like a 1. So yeah, definitely. Funny. But like week to week, it was only but like, you know, prospective captains out there. It was not a lot of work. Maybe like an hour, maybe an hour and a half a week.
Yeah, to just do pairings and then announce them to your team.
Yeah, do pairings, announce the team, and make sure
be there in case anything blows up.
Yeah, just kind of like be available for any like, hey, I'm not available, or our schedules aren't matching up, or my player isn't available. Can I get a sub somewhere, or just stuff like that.
Interesting.
So it's not a ton of work, and honestly, it kind of runs itself if you set it up well. And like I had like my own spreadsheet that I just linked to Greg's spreadsheet. That I just like referenced all of his stuff and pulled it into ours, and made it really easy for my players to see what they need to see. Like what are my stats right now? Like who's up next week? You know, what are my matchup strengths look like? And just other like random information that they need to see. Like I can send you. Let me see. Let me send this to you, William, and you can share it if you want.
I was just looking at what the normal teams are, but I would love to.
There's nothing special in there besides like the matchup strength. But if someone's really diving deep into my matchup strengths, then I think you're chasing down the wrong path.
It's just an example of how to organize it a little bit better.
Yeah, so this one's just like a example of what's like what they need to see. The matchups are right there for you. Here's the matchup strengths.
Yeah, obviously Octa is going to want 5s in all these against Rebels. Chance not so much.
Yeah.
That's interesting, man. Now we know all your secrets.
All your secrets. Take your screenshots now. So,
a lot of this won't help you out on the asteroid field, battlefield, space field.
Yeah.
The X-Wing man.
I would definitely recommend it if you're trying to, as Catherine said here in our chat. She's been a captain for 5 seasons. Should be 6. Are you going to be captain next season, Catherine? And she said she had a great time.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, there is the signups for all players, even including captains, that you can sign up and say that I would like to be a captain. I know there's at least like 2 captains that are stepping down, so including myself. So we'll need at least 2 captains.
Is there? Because I've only heard of you.
Oh, really? I thought there was another one.
But I mean, there might be, but they haven't told me.
The rumor mills are churning over there.
The rumor mills are churning. Catherine says, I captain like I play X-Wing by instinct or intuition, or as I would rephrase that, off the cuff or on the fly.
On the fly, yeah.
And yet the Foxes are always good.
The Foxes are always good. Some just
Turns out
always good.
Catherine's pretty good. Knows what she's doing. Ah, well, it's been pretty exciting. Anything we didn't have a chance to talk about, Greg, as we wrap up here?
I mean, I don't think so. Is there anything you guys want to know? I don't have access to your like sheet doc
We
for
have
the
no
show.
notes. It was Greg Talks draft was in our notes, and then a link to something. Oh, the signups, the season 6 signups. So no, I mean, if there's just any interesting stories you've seen, any fun history for season 5 as we wrap up the regular season.
Well, we've only had 2 winners. Like it's Havoc and Ascendancy. So
Because Havoc went
see if-
four wins or 3
Havoc
wins.
on the first 3 seasons. But it's a little bit like the Maple Leafs, right? Like they won a lot of cups when there were only like 6 teams.
Sure, Packers back in like 47 or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha. So this would be, is this like season 4, like a new era, you would say, as really a lot changed since
I
previous
think
seasons?
I think season 5 started like I think we should go into like the pre 100, post 100 player era.
Yes, yeah. From kind of a
Desi's the only
niche.
triple crown in marbles. That's true. Desi's our only triple crown in marbles. Won 3 marble games in a row.
That's that hat trick. Pretty hard to come by. Any expectations for season 6 then? Looking towards the future.
I do think away captains are gonna receive an actual matchup veto for season 6.
Yeah, I did see a lot of that, and I was very that looks very good. I'm very excited for what that means for away captains.
Yeah. So originally the whole scenario veto happened this season because we were trying to keep scum off salvage. That happened like a ton in season 4. And
Why?
it was like,
Why
okay.
was the correlation?
What
was the correlation?
Just scum's really bad at salvage.
Oh, they're bad at it. Oh, okay. Sure.
So like
Are they?
every scum player got like matched up into salvage. So that's why the scenario veto came in. But then I think people were like, okay, we could use it for scum and salvage or
Republic assault. I did get several assault veto on my Republic players.
Yeah, we were just talking about it. It was almost every week they were waiting to press a veto.
I think I did go through one matchup where we didn't have a veto, and I was home that week, and I was like, all right. I mean, if you're good with all the matchups, cool. He was like, yeah, I didn't see a matchup that I was like, I hate that.
Cool. Anything else about season 6 other than the signups are live?
Signups are going now. I don't think there's any like huge rule changes happening. I mean, obviously, like number of teams and everything is going to be. I'm very happy at 20, so if it stays at 20, I'm fine with that. But if we don't get enough players to get 20, we might have to contract a little, which is also fine.
Sure.
But yeah, we're at 76, and it's been live for less than a day. So
I do like
the 8
player. I do like the 8 players per team.
Yes, I also like the having one extra player.
Yeah, I think that's important because it lets you play all 7 factions on the team.
Yeah, I agree that is a good thing to have. I just think having the extra player for when something happens, like everyone gets a bye, you don't have to feel bad that you have a life thing pop up. You can just be like, don't just sit me this week, and be like, all right, cool.
Yeah, I would say that's like when I think both seasons. Yeah, first question like Sunday, afternoon is like, hey, who's out this week? Like, who can't play a game this week? And that's always nice to be like, as James here is saying, you have travel coming up. You know, people have like plans that extend, or just busy weeks. So that kind of flexibility, and you can take more than one sub, or more than one. What'd you call them? Buys earlier.
Yeah, like bye weeks.
But there's plenty of players who only played like 8 games or 7 games throughout the season because they had to take a bye week more than once.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like someone had like for season 4 or whatever, everyone was having babies. So like we had a lot of players that were like, "Oh, my wife's due, and I apparently can't put X-wing above the birth of my child."
Yeah.
Well, all right, yeah.
Priorities.
Very reasonable take.
Yeah, don't do that.
As the only person here with kids, yeah, Ryan, that's a good take, yeah.
Oh, Marcel's here too.
Well,
Marcel's
mine's
kids?
23.
I was just saying.
Yeah. I know now it's not the issue. Just like
Yeah,
went through
I
it.
sometimes forget you have kids because they're older now. Yeah,
Taking care of children would be
He also has cats who
Well,
are
yeah.
on his
twice as
desk
bad
too.
as children. Yikes.
Yes.
for babies.
Fantastic. Catherine just told us they've been increasing by 4 teams every season, so we don't expect 24 teams in season 6.
I have been shocked the last 4 seasons that it's grown. So I will be shocked again if it grows.
Okay.
I think my favorite part of the season was just watching Greg get more and more stressed out as the signups kept rolling in. He was like, "How am I gonna handle this?"
Stop the count! Stop the count!
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean-
I forget what number it was, but yeah, something came in. You're like, well, we got to get more teams now.
Yeah, like, I
Became-
can't wait to-
You need a co-commissioner, a few of them, maybe.
Yeah, but like, what are they gonna do? Like, every time I think
It's
about
mostly
having a
setup.
co-commissioner, I'm like, but what's their like job? What do they do?
It's
That's your
mostly
job to
the
figure
setup.
out.
Like just like
Delegate.
setting up the Excel to work correctly, and that sets them up for the year, for the
There you
season.
go. James
Yeah.
is trying to
Actually,
trying to
James
jump
was
in
such a
there.
huge help this season because all the automation on the Excel, like for the stat keeping, I can't even tell you how much time that saved. It had to be hours upon hours upon hours, just having that all happen automatically.
He is the spreadsheet master, at least around these parts.
I would show you my mug that says "a freak in the sheets," but it's at work right now.
Oh man. Catherine's also offering to help. I think Greg, you've
Yeah, I mean, she's been offering for 4 seasons, and I just don't have like anything. Like it's like a generalized amount of stress, It's not like a specific. I have too much to do type thing. Like
Sure.
I just don't like. I just don't know what I could be like. Catherine, do this, but there's no what. What would that be? There's nothing.
captain and team, and she's doing
Yeah.
that. I mean, that level of support, Greg, people trying to help, people excited about the league, really shows that all the work you've done, all the effort was not in vain. People were very excited, and I'm glad that this season and last season that I got to participate in, I had a wonderful time. There's been some lows.
Marcel, you can't claim a no trade clause. You weren't traded last season. You didn't play it.
I don't know. You didn't explain. It's not clearly defined.
What?
everything
It's
is.
not clearly defined.
No.
What? If
I-
you
I-
were
I'm
only
traded
in, like,
in season
words.
5 during the course of the season, not at the draft, would you like
Greg.
to claim a no trade clause?
You're talking to someone who I've had to read to for the past couple of years.
So what you're saying is Marcel should be a captain.
Make him a
It would
captain.
fit him very
I'll
well.
get him reading.
Yeah. No, that's the whole point. Is that
No,
Hey,
well,
I'm the captain in that other one that
There you go.
is.
They are undefeated in. They're having unprecedented success in.
Yes,
There you go.
they are.
Sounds like James, you got your replacement.
No,
There
There you go.
There you go. I already signed up. Locked it in writing.
no.
Marcel, captain
my
of the
God.
Outlaws.
I cannot
No.
imagine him in the draft. Oh, that stresses me out so much.
It's gonna be a great time. If you miss live drafting, season 6 draft, gonna be hilarious. There were skits. Big shout out to the Mega Milk Union for their skits. Really entertaining us during the draft. 'Cause we needed it
maybe
then.
too many skips,
Look,
not enough planning.
Mega Milk may be the lowest in the performance of the league during the regular season, but the preseason going into the draft, yeah, they're like top
preseason.
ranked.
Yeah.
It was like a 3-act play.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Should
was
be
like- it was like-
inspiring
it was like-
for other
It
captains.
was like a commercial every
Look.
round.
The best would be the next step they could take is if they all learned another language and spoke that language in their skits for the next draft.
Did they
Oh,
just
see, I want a musical.
spit milk at each other.
Musical. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, musical. There you go.
Musical
could
be
figure
good.
Something out. Do a little songs, some ditties. James, you could throw it on that cardboard you've been saving for your breakdancing.
Nope. That's my
What?
special.
You had a
card.
long. I listened to this for a half hour listening about this new refrigerator cardboard. Got a new refrigerator.
And this song
The
is
box
called
huge.
"The First Pick Is."
You could just expressive dance if you want. Just
Yeah,
show
they
some-
have
show
to do
some
the milk
moves,
challenge.
please.
They have to drink a gallon of milk on the stream. Right in front of us.
I think I could do that. I think I could drink a
You,
gallon of milk.
you think you could drink a gallon in
I
like
think I
a
could
minute?
drink a gallon of milk in a minute. I think just chugging it. I think I could just chug a gallon of milk. Just no.
I think that's like a thing, right? Like you
Yeah, that's
can't
a
do
challenge.
that.
I mean, you should not do that, but
only doctors recommended not to do it. So I mean, everybody else.
Right, what
is
do
pretty
they
cool
know?
about it?
what do those guys know? Like they have a doctorate or something.
Yeah, but it's not drinking milk.
Not
It's
about
not
milk.
about
You got
doctorate
dairy? You got dairy doctorate?
dairy doctor.
No,
That
those
is
are called
like your
farmers.
Yeah.
Yeah. You a farmer? I don't think so. All right. Well, we've completely gone off the rails, which means it's time to end. Again, a shout out Patreons. Check out patreon.com/Gold Squadron. Check out the Sector Series informations on our website, Gold Squadron Podcast.
Podcast.com.
Okay, I was drawing a blank there. The Patreon is Gold Squadron. The website is Gold Squadron Podcast. And check out the Nickel City Discord as well. You can find all the information on the signups. We put the forums in our chat, and hopefully we'll remember to put the signups in the description, either in this podcast you're listening to or the YouTube video that you're watching. Of course, we're normally here on Mondays. Me and James play games on Wednesday nights, so come check us out. Having some fun there. We want to see your Nickel City games and pretty much any game of X when you want to play. Then, of course, stay tuned to that Discord for more grand tournament announcements. This should be happening this week. We hope to hear more announced. We'll start getting some planning made for those official tournaments. Greg, any closing thoughts before we sign out of here?
No, just if you want, sign up for season 6 and tune in. I think GSP is going to be covering some playoff matchups as well. So we should have a
that we can get.
really good playoff here. So I'm looking forward to it.
Fantastic. I am as well. So everybody here at Gold Squadron and Greg from Nickel City. Stay safe, stay smart. Gold Squadron out.
Thank you to ISO, Danko, Baffle, Trojan, Prophet, Shadow, Tycho, Spice, Raider, Lancer, Fallen, Row 6, 626, Chief, and Jay List, our Grand Admiral patrons. And all of our Gold Squadron patrons and community members, thank you for your support. Gold Squadron out.